Ethan had never imagined that peace in his quiet suburban neighborhood could be stolen by one woman, Karen, the self-proclaimed queen of the HOA. It all began one sunny Saturday morning when Ethan stepped outside, coffee in hand, ready to head to his workshop. But there it was, a shiny silver SUV parked right in front of his garage door. His name wasn't on the HOA board, but that garage was his world, his workspace, his peace. He knocked on Karen's door politely. She opened it with her usual fake smile. "Oh, I'll move it later." "I'm busy," she said, slamming the door. Hours passed. The sun dipped lower, but the SUV didn't move. Ethan's patience thinned. He took photos, documented everything, and called the HOA office only to be told, "It's a neighborly dispute, sir. Handle it politely." That was the moment something inside him shifted. This wasn't about a parking space anymore. It was about respect, or rather, the lack of it. Ethan made a quiet promise to himself that day. He would teach her a lesson she'd never forget. The next morning, he noticed something new. Karen's car wasn't just blocking him anymore. She'd put a handwritten sign on it, "HOA property. Do not tow." Ethan chuckled under his breath. He knew this story was about to take a shocking turn. For the next 3 days, Ethan endured the inconvenience. He parked down the street, carried tools by hand, and kept a calm face while Karen smiled smugly from her window. Her friends whispered and laughed, clearly enjoying his frustration. But Ethan wasn't angry, not outwardly. Inside, he was building a plan. He spent evenings calling towing companies, each one refusing to touch the car because of HOA jurisdiction. "If we move it, we get fined," one man warned. Ethan understood. Karen had found her loophole. But he wasn't going to fight her rules. He'd outsmart them. One evening, as he sat in his backyard, a soft hum filled the sky, a construction helicopter lifting beams to a nearby site. That's when the idea hit him like lightning. He didn't need to tow her car. He could lift it, literally. He smiled for the first time in days. The next morning, he called a private airlifting company for a creative removal project. They laughed, thinking it was a joke, until he showed them the HOA complaints and legal rights over his driveway. "Technically, it's your property," they said. "You can remove anything that blocks it." Ethan paid in advance. The operation was set for Saturday morning. As dawn approached, he brewed his coffee again, just like that first day. Except this time, he wasn't helpless. He was ready. Saturday dawned bright and quiet, too quiet. Birds chirped, sprinklers hissed, and the neighborhood still slept. Then, faintly, the thumping of helicopter blades began echoing across the sky. Ethan stood by his driveway, arms crossed, calm as ever. The pilot waved from above, and a small crew prepared the lifting rig. Karen, still in her robe, burst out of her house, eyes wide. "What do you think you're doing?" she screamed, her voice nearly lost in the noise. Ethan looked up casually and replied, "Just moving something that doesn't belong on my property." Within minutes, the helicopter's cables hooked under the SUV. Karen's jaw dropped. The car lifted slowly, dramatically. Wheels dangling midair. Neighbors ran out, phones recording every second. Karen shrieked, "That's my car." Ethan just nodded. "Yes, and it'll be safely delivered." But here was the twist, he hadn't told her where. The crew, following Ethan's instructions, soared toward downtown. People gasped as the SUV floated above rooftops like something out of a movie. Karen chased the spectacle in disbelief, barefoot, still shouting. Ethan followed behind calmly in his truck, the faintest smirk on his face. The real destination was going to make the neighborhood talk for years. The helicopter's path led straight toward City Hall, where the mayor himself had often sided with Karen's HOA complaints against residents. It was poetic justice. As the aircraft hovered, the pilot radioed down, "Sir, you sure about this?" Ethan replied with confidence, "It's her favorite lawn. Let's give it back to her HOA officially." With surgical precision, the helicopter lowered the SUV onto the mayor's perfectly trimmed grass. The car landed softly with a thud, and the crew detached the cables. Dozens of onlookers clapped and laughed, recording the unbelievable sight. Karen arrived seconds later, red-faced and panting. "You'll pay for this." she screamed. Ethan calmly handed her a folded paper, a copy of the HOA bylaws and property documentation. "It says I can remove any obstruction from my driveway by any means necessary," he said. "You should really read your own rules." The mayor stepped out, utterly confused, as reporters began filming. "Ma'am," he said to Karen, "why is your car on my property?" The silence that followed was delicious. Ethan didn't say another word. He simply nodded to the pilot, who saluted before flying off into the morning sky. By noon, the video had already gone viral online. Titles like "Man Airlifts HOA Bully's Car, Drops It on Mayor's Lawn" flooded social media. Ethan's phone buzzed endlessly, but he ignored it. He was in his workshop again, finally free to work in peace. Karen, on the other hand, wasn't so lucky. The HOA called an emergency meeting that same afternoon. Residents, tired of her bullying, voted to remove her from the board. Even the mayor distanced himself, calling the act a creative statement against misuse of authority. But Karen wasn't ready to give up. She filed a complaint against Ethan, claiming emotional distress. When the local news aired the story, public opinion wasn't on her side. Commenters hailed Ethan as a hero of peaceful rebellion. Still, Ethan stayed humble. He told reporters, "I didn't do it to humiliate her. I just wanted my space and a little peace." His calmness only made people admire him more. Deep down, though, Ethan knew it wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about setting boundaries, a quiet reminder that decency matters more than titles. A week later, Karen knocked on Ethan's door. Her pride seemed smaller, her tone softer. I shouldn't have done that," she murmured. For the first time, Ethan saw something human in her eyes. Regret. He nodded silently. "It's over," he said simply. "Let's move on." She hesitated before handing him a small box. Inside was a miniature toy helicopter and a note. Message received. Ethan smiled. Maybe peace was possible after all. That evening, he hosted a small neighborhood barbecue, even inviting Karen. People laughed, shared food, and took photos under the same sky that once held a floating SUV. The tension melted into something new, understanding. By the end of the night, Ethan stood by his clean driveway, feeling lighter than ever. He had faced arrogance with intelligence and won without hate. Months later, a letter arrived from City Hall, an invitation to a community award ceremony. Ethan was being recognized for promoting neighborhood harmony through creative problem solving. The irony made him laugh. Karen attended the event too, quietly clapping from the back row. Their feud had turned into a story everyone talked about, but more importantly, it became a lesson about boundaries, respect, and how small actions can make big changes. As the mayor shook Ethan's hand, he whispered, "I still can't believe you airlifted her car." Ethan smiled. "Sometimes you just have to rise above the problem," he said. The audience laughed warmly, and the applause echoed through the hall. For Ethan, it wasn't about the spotlight. It was about reclaiming peace in his own way, and that was the final twist in this unbelievable HOA story. If you loved the drama, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts. It really helps this channel grow.